Greetings RC friends, welcome to Props and Wheels and to the assembly video of my new HobbyKing Flying Dolphin. This is a kit I recently purchased for $9.99 from HobbyKing, free shipping, and it recently arrived and I'm planning to set it up as a part flyer. Here I also have all the parts and electronics that I think I'm going to need for this assembly, as well as the tools and glues and everything. So let me start by showing you what these parts are and then we'll get into the assembly. Here are all the electronic parts. I chose to use a 2012 1400 kV brushless motor. This one I got from Banggood. The price was $5.39. Let me show you what it looks like. So it came with the prop adapter. I already checked, it fits the hardware that was provided with the Dolphin, and also the little spinner and mounting hardware. And this is in line with what the manual says. By the way, I did not print the manual to be environmentally friendly. I'm using the electronic version. It's a PDF. It is a nicely drafted manual. It's very detailed. And here it gives you the option of setting it up as an indoor flyer or just a regular. I'll be using this one since I'll be flying in the park outdoors. So I'm choosing 2212. That's the size of the motor. And at the lower kV, 1400 kV. And then prop, they give a range 6x4 or 8x6. I'm assuming this is the E electric fly. And I have a couple props from my bin of all the propellers here. And I'm not sure, it says 8 is not, it can fit, but I was just looking at it and then this is not going to fit unless you modify the model. It's not going to fit inside that area where the prop is going to fit. So I'm probably going to be using one of these. These are both 7x6 electric props. One has a larger middle section. Probably it's going to be too big even with the adapters provided. I may end up using this one. This is a little thinner prop, thin electric prop. So I should be able to get enough power to power up this Dolphin using a 3S battery. So coming back, so that's the motor. And then I have these 4 9-gram servos that I got from Banggood as well. They were each $2.36, so about less than $10. And I was planning to use one of my new 30 amp ESCs. These sell for $4.71. Again on Banggood. But instead I decided using my 30 amp ESC that came out of my Cessna 180 to 55-inch wingspan. This was overheating on Cessna because it didn't have probably enough airflow inside, as well as it was a little underpowered for the motor. So I replaced this one with a 50 amp and I haven't had any issues. So this is available, so I said, well, let me use this one instead. This is going to be outside on the body, so it's going to have plenty of airflow around it, so I don't think it's going to heat up. So the total cost of the motor, ESC, and these servos will be about $20 plus shipping, and shipping was minimal from Banggood when I purchased these. So about $20, let's say. And then this is an old 4-channel, I think DSM-2 receiver that I had on another airplane before, and that crashed and I pulled it out. I don't remember even. Anyway, you can get something like this for park flyers, a small one for about $10. So let's say $30. And then I have these bullet connectors to put at the end of the wires. These are from a burnt out motor. So it's like they were free, but you can just purchase these things. And then I had a Y adapter for the aileron servo since I'm using a 4-channel receiver. And all in all, these probably going to cost you about $40, I think. About $20 here, another $10.30, and then little items. Prop is usually around $2.50. The shipping and everything are going to pay about $40, and then plus the kit, you know, $50. Within $50 you can build it. If you want to also include the battery, you know, you need to get a LiPo 3S battery that's around maybe 800 or 1000 milliamp hours. That will be another $10. So within $60 you can just have this flying if you have a radio. In terms of glue, I'm going to use, depending what I'm gluing, either this clear Gorilla Glue non-foaming formula, or my hot glue gun, or 5-minute epoxy. I'll be using my soldering iron for some of these soldering jobs. So let's get started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what I'm doing and then speed up the video, and then whenever I have something important to say, I'll slow it down to real time and tell it, and then go back to time lapse. The first part is stiffening the wing. They provided this square section carbon fiber tube that goes along the wing, and then there is this thinner carbon spar that you fit into this channel all the way with glue, and then both will be glued down. So this is for stiffening the wing, and then once it's stiff, it's just going to hold. But you have to make sure that you are using the longest strip, carbon fiber strip. So what I'm planning to do is use Gorilla Glue. I don't like using CA on anything that's so flexible, because CA is very brittle when it hardens. Gorilla Glue, it fills the pores of the foam very well, and it is very strong, but at the same time it is soft, so it's not going to cause any issues like separating from the foam when it flexes. So I'm going to use that, although the disadvantage of this one, it takes a long time to cure. I'm going to put this on and put a tape so that everything stays in flat, and then just go to the next section while I'm waiting for this to cure. The thick carbon tube is not very straight and keeps lifting off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some wax paper over it so I can pull it off easily so it doesn't stick to anything, and then I'm going to put some weight to hold it down until the glue starts curing and holding. While the wing is still curing, the next step is to install the carbon strip, this one, into the tail, which is going to be our elevator. It's the horizontal stabilizer, this is the elevator part, and then there is a very thin channel going along this line, and this goes in there. So I'm going to do the same thing, Gorilla Glue in there, and I'm going to coat this with a thin layer of Gorilla Glue, put it in, put a weight on a flat surface and let it cure. And make sure that you are using the right one, because now there are 5 different lengths of this flat carbon strip, and this will be the second longest. So we use the longest one on that bent section of the wing that's curing. This is the second longest one going to the back, and then there are 3 other lengths, each different length, that should go onto the fuselage part. So in the last step, I installed the remaining 3 carbon strips on the upper part of the fuselage, the fin part, and the lower part is not included in this step, because we need to be able to slide the wing assembly inside and then put the two halves together. So for now, I'm just going to, I weighted everything down, so everything is nice and straight, and I'm just going to wait overnight for these spars to cure in place, as well as the tail section, and then tomorrow I'm just going to continue with the assembly. It has been about 4 hours since I glued the large tube and also the carbon strip onto the wing. The glue is more or less cured, it's holding, but I see some gaps, especially around the tube. So I just want to make sure they're all filled. So what I'm going to do now is just put a lot of glue on top, and then with my finger I'm just going to fill all the open areas and crevices with glue, so that by tomorrow it will have a very nice bond between the carbon spars and the wing. It is the next day and the glue has completely cured. So the next step is going to be to glue this tail section, which is also the horizontal stabilizer and the elevator, to the back of the wing. So it's going to be like this, to make sure that's the right way up. So this needs to be glued like this, making sure they are perfectly flat. And the instruction manual recommends hot glue, but I'm not going to use hot glue. Instead, again, I'm going to use the Gorilla Glue. Although it takes a long time to cure, I think that it is elastic is better, because this foam is really flexible, and when it flexes, the glue will flex with it. On the other hand, hot glue, when it gets cold, it's really hard, and it may not be a good match for this soft foam. So I just glued the two pieces together, the wing and the tail section, and I put some weight to hold it in place straight and also touching each other at the joint. So I'm going to let this cure overnight. I don't want to rush this. So this is becoming a multi-day affair. Just a couple hours or couple minutes every evening, depending how much work to do. But if you are willing to use CA cyanoacrylate glue or hot glue, or something that cures faster, like maybe 5-minute epoxy, 10-minute epoxy, you can probably build this in 1 day or half a day. But I'm just taking my time. I would like to use Gorilla Glue because this version is it's nice and flexible, and it doesn't foam up, and it is clear. It doesn't look bad. It gives like a shine in the area that it is curing. So I'm just going to go with this. I started with the Gorilla. I think I may only use epoxy for the motor mount. I'm going to decide that, because that needs to be a little stronger and not flexible. So I will see you again tomorrow night. It is the third day of the assembly. I haven't done much yesterday except putting this together and let it cure. Since I'm using Gorilla Glue, this is taking a long time, but I don't care. I cannot fly during the weekday anyway. I'm just taking my time, trying to do a good job of assembling this thing. And separate this. Looks like this is all good. Cured well. And this wax paper has been helping quite a bit in separating and everything else. I tried my best to get everything aligned and perpendicular to each other, meaning that the fuselage perpendicular to the wings. And I think I succeeded more or less. But again, it's going to take a long time for this to dry since I'm using clear Gorilla Glue. But I'm glad I'm using that, because anything that would cure faster wouldn't have given me enough time. Even a 30-minute epoxy probably would have cured too quickly. So if you are planning to do this, find something that cures, and the curing time is at least an hour or longer. Because hot glue wouldn't have worked. There are so many little pieces and parts that need to bond with each other. So it is basically a very detailed job. I was using a popsicle stick as a spatula to fill in all the gaps and everything. One thing I don't like with Gorilla Glue, it doesn't have high viscosity, so it runs off easily. So I've been trying to clean the runoffs on the other side. It's not going to look pretty, but at least it's clear so it doesn't foam up. If you think that you can do it with a 30-minute epoxy, go ahead, but you have to make sure that everything is lined up. You know, you do a test fit before putting the glue on, because you are going to need the time. I'm going to wait for the glue to cure until tomorrow and then continue tomorrow. It's going to be the 4th day tomorrow. It is 2 days later. I have been busy at work as well as with other projects, so I didn't have a chance to continue this build. But now I'm back and I'm going to continue with installation of the motor mount, as well as all the control horns on the surfaces. There are 4, 2 on the ailerons, 1 on the rudder, 1 on the elevator. And then I'm just going to start installing the servos, the motor, the electronics, as well as these carbon rods that need to be installed for reinforcing the structure. So I'll get to this now. I think this is a mistake in the instructions. It says that the motor mount needs to be installed after the wing is attached to the fuselage and all that. But now, this makes it very difficult to fit the mount inside because there's not enough room. Do you see the slots? Each of these tabs on the motor mount on the force side need to go into these slots, but there's not enough room to push that in. So ideally, this should have been installed while assembling the wing to the fuselage. And now I have to force it in because there's not enough space here. And I'm afraid I may end up ripping or even cutting part of the foam in order to get that in. So this should have been a step. So if you end up buying one of these to build, I recommend start putting this together during that assembly step, when the wing and the fuselage is coming together. I would like to point out that the slots on the elevator and rudder cut out for the control horns are a little too short. You can see this horn sticking out quite a bit, although I pushed it in all the way towards the front, and I cannot make it larger because there is this carbon spar. So what I'm going to do is cut this last section off. It's not necessary, and then it will fit maybe halfway into that hole. And same is true for the rudder slot for the control horn. As you can see, the back side is sticking out. I may be forced a little bit, but I'm afraid that there's a thin section and I don't want to and rip that out. So instead I'm just going to cut the end section of the horn and then get it in properly without stretching that slot too much. Now all control horns are in place, and now I'm going to start installing the servos. What I'm planning to do is use hot glue, and I'm going to put hot glue underneath these tabs on top, and then also reinforce with more hot glue on the other side around the bottom part. So all the servos are installed now, and I'm just going to go and start installing the control rods. So they will connect, and then also the control arms on the servos. I have installed or just pushed in all the servo arms, but before I go further and then start connecting them to the control horns, what I would like to do is install the receiver, set it up, DSC, and then power these up and make sure that all the servos are centered. So to be able to do that, I need to do the radio setup, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So here it is. I bound this little DSM2 receiver to my RadioMaster TX16S, and I soldered all the connectors. Everything is connected. So right now it's working. You can see aileron servos. This is the elevator servo. On this side is the rudder servo. And finally the throttle. I'm just going to hold it so it doesn't jump out of this. Everything seems to be working, so I'm just going to continue with the assembly. Right now everything is centered, all the servos are centered, so I'm just going to put on the control rods, tighten them up, tighten up the servo arms, and then after that I'm going to install the motor to the motor mount and put on the propeller, and then we'll be probably ready to do another test. I just want to show you quickly something. So these control rods, they are not bent at the angle that they need to be. As you can see, there's a gap. So what I did with the other one is use the two pliers, this one and this one, to bend this a little further so it comes straight to the top hole over here. So I already installed the other one. You can see over here. It's all good. And also I put a thread lock on both sides. There is a set screw that holds this rod in place, and there is a little nut that holds this whole assembly that attaches the control rod to the control horn. So make sure that you put some thread lock so this doesn't get loose and fall off. All control linkages are installed and working. The elevator, rudder, ailerons. And what I need to do next is to put these guides, just make holes on the foam here and put the guides in so that they are spaced evenly, and so that this control rod does not bend when under stress. So these will go in like this at equal distances in between in 3 sections. And I need to do the same thing for the rudder control rod as well. Just space these out. And I'm going to make like small slits here and here. And make sure the ones on the opposite side do not overlap. And then put them in and glue them with hot glue. Now I'll be installing the motor and the propeller. I'm going to use this APC 7x6 electric tin prop. This one. It's tin electric. I'm having another complication, which is after installing the prop, the provided adapter that came with the motor. The tip is too long to fit here. So what I have to probably do is, since I don't have a nut of this size, I have to use this one. But in order to be able to do that, I need to cut a hole in the center. it is almost all set. So you can see, let me try to hold it while I'm controlling. So I think I adjusted the CG as in the instruction manual. And then the left aileron, right aileron, left, right, everything's working well. Up elevator, down elevator, right rudder, left rudder. So I may end up adjusting the rates. Maybe I'll put 2 rates or 3 rates. And there is only one last thing to do. Carbon rods. There are 4 of them, and I'm going to install them like this here and back as in the instruction manual. Finally, my HobbyKing Flying Dolphin is ready to fly. All set up with everything. I'll show you the reinforcing carbon spars. All the controls are working. I try to tuck in everything, all the wires as much as I can. And tomorrow is going to be a nice day, Saturday, and hope to see you on the field during the maiden flight. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave them below. If you have any suggestions for me, please leave them there as well. I hope to see you on the next video. Stay safe and healthy. Bye bye.